I am Harrison Brown, and I am from Enterprise High School, and we are the seniors of the Student Advisory Committee.
My name is Nancy Wynn. The Student Advisory Team meets once a month, and we give administrators student insight.
Hi, I'm Camille Wright, Superintendent of Enterprise City Schools.
Hi, I'm Matt Rogers, Principal of Enterprise High School.
We're here today to celebrate the graduation rate improvement both for Enterprise City Schools and Enterprise High School.
Made as a direct result of the hard work and dedication on part of all of our teachers in our system. Without great instruction, the improvements made would not have been possible.
I also want to thank all of our support staff, our bus drivers, our lunchroom workers, our maintenance and custodial staff, our clerical aides, our technology department, and all the people who work behind the scenes to make our teachers and students support their work and to make it where it's an atmosphere of really conducive learning.
And the unwavering support of our parents and community behind our students' schools. Thank you to Dr. Wright and the Board of Education for providing us with resources and the opportunity to work with some of the best students in the nation. It's a true team effort here at Enterprise High School.
This past year, Alabama improved its graduation rate to 86%. Enterprise High School improved their graduation rate to 96%, with Enterprise City Schools being at 95%. We now stand among most elite in the state. Way to go, Cats!
Remember, what is most important is the type of graduate we are producing in Enterprise, Alabama. College and career-ready graduates.
My name is Sydney Lundy. We like our students at Enterprise High School to be active in community life and address global challenges.
My name is Bryant Vickers. We would like the students at Enterprise High School to be effectively prepared to compete academically on a national stage.
My name is Ryan Riccio. We would like our students at Enterprise High School to be prepared to move on to college or to a chosen profession through AP courses, dual enrollment courses, and career tech classes.
In Enterprise City Schools, we're committed to progress and dedicated to excellence.
We truly believe we're growing a world-class student body in Enterprise, Alabama. If you don't believe us, ask this group right here. Good evening. Thank you guys for being here tonight. My name is Matt Rogers, principal here at the high school, and we have a great crowd. And just want to say thank you for your dedication and commitment and the support that we receive. You can tell that we're very proud of some of the accomplishments of our students and our teachers. We've had an outstanding year, and we're already excited about planning for next year. Just want to commend you as well as our student body. And our teachers, you saw the graduation rate increase to 96%. But also we have been named one of 15 schools in the state of Alabama to receive the Class Banner School Award. And we're extremely proud and pleased with that. And it's a total team effort from the teachers, the students, to the parents, and to our supporters in the community. So just thank you for that. And again, we're excited about what's ahead of us. And tonight, someone asked me coming in, what's this night all about? What are high expectations? And I hope tonight will prove to be beneficial for you and your child. At any point in time, we have a lot of people in here, and we'll be glad to answer any questions, but we're going to be set up in the very back afterwards, and we will stay here as long as it takes to answer any questions. We have grade level tables. If your son, for example, or daughter is going into the ninth grade next year, we will have an administrator and a counselor at those tables, and they will be happy to sit down with you and talk about anything that you would like to in regards to their data, to upcoming classes, or course selection. I want to say a special welcome to a few people that I've made contact with. We have a few of our military servicemen in the audience. You're in a great place. A couple that I spoke to are on TDY, and they have children that will be starting here in the fall, and a few of these have been here in our system before, and they're tickled to death about being back in Enterprise. So I don't know where you're sitting, but we're glad that you're here tonight, and it speaks volumes about the commitment that you have for your child. So we're glad to have you guys back. At this time, I'm going to turn it over on behalf of Dr. Wright and our Board of Education and the 176 faculty and staff members. Again, welcome to the campus, and hope tonight is wonderful. Real quick picture of the Wildcat Nation. I know many of you may be in the audience tonight that may have a 7th grader or an 8th grader, and you're thinking, well, man, what am I doing in this chair tonight? But time goes by very quickly, and we believe in early planning. And both of our principals, Mr. West, Mrs. Hope from Coppinville Junior High School, and Mrs. Thomas from Dolphin Junior High School, they're present tonight, and they're going to be a part of this presentation, and I look forward to hearing from them. At this time, I'm going to turn it over. I would like to welcome Dr. Camille Wright. Let's give her a hand, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. I just want to say welcome. I want to echo his welcome. One of the goals that we have, or the goal that we have in Enterprise City Schools, is to ensure that every one of our students leave us college and career ready. And we want to ensure that they have the skills they need to be successful in college, but also the knowledge that they need to be able to find that occupation, whether that occupation begins after 2 years of college, 4 years of college, 10 years of college. So we want them to have the skills that they need to be successful academically, but also the skills they need to be successful in careers. We know that by 2020, most jobs will require some post-secondary training. The great thing about here in Enterprise that you're going to hear about tonight is we have a lot of credentialing that occurs here at the campus, so you can actually leave high school with much post-secondary training. Some of the changes that we're going to have for next year that I would quickly like to tell you about. Next year, Coppinville Junior High will be both 7th and 8th grade, and Dolphin Junior High will also be both 7th and 8th grade. So we will have 2 junior high schools. The principals are here tonight, and they will be talking about different parts of their curriculum, but I did want to let you know that that will be occurring. If we're going to prepare our students for the future, we have to start now. And I hope that we do have, I know earlier today we had some parents in the audience of rising 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade students. And it's really important that you start now planning for the future. In fact, the way I kind of look at it is I think it's very important that you start with the end in mind. What do you want for your child? So don't look at, okay, they're going into 7th grade, here's a 7th grade curriculum, what do I want them to take? But think in terms of, where do I want them to end up? Do I know that my child is going to go, like when my children were in elementary school, I knew that they were going to college. Where they went to college was their option, but they were going to college. So in thinking that way, or they were going to have some post-secondary training for sure. So in thinking that way, where do you want them to end up? So as you're preparing your schedule with your child, think about where do you want them to end up? And one of the things that we'd like to focus on is really thinking about those 6th graders going into 7th grade, those 7th graders going into 8th grade, in terms of the rigor that is added. So if you know that your child is going to go to a 2 or 4 year college, you need to go ahead and get them in those advanced classes in 7th and 8th grade so that they can start preparing for that level of rigor. There's a big change in going from 6th grade, where you have maybe 2, 3, 4 teachers, but you're kind of more self-contained, to 7th and 8th grade, where you have a little different, more like a high school environment. So there's that change that they're already going to have, but we feel like while they're doing that, it's important to go ahead and add that level of rigor. If you know your child's going to go to college, the question then is not really, do you want to take an advanced class or not? They need to take that. So here's the thing, while that doesn't count toward their GPA, so if they make a B, it's no big deal. They're learning the rigor, they're getting that information, and then they're going to be prepared for that higher level of rigor in high school. It's kind of like if you don't start there, then it'd be like starting at, year 3 Spanish without taking year 1 and year 2. It's very difficult to do. Not impossible, but it would be very difficult to do. So it's important that you think about on the front end where you want your child to end up. I like to look at it in you have basically, we're on a 4-block schedule, so you basically have 32 opportunities, maybe 33 if they take Algebra 1 in the 8th grade. You have 32 opportunities or 33 opportunities to get in courses. Now, we have certain courses that you'll see tonight that are required. But as a parent, I think it's a good idea to go ahead and put, an 8-block schedule for 9th grade, an 8-block for 10th grade, an 8-block for 11th grade, an 8-block for 12th grade, and then think about, all right, my child is probably going to play football, so what does that look like? Fill that in. Well, my child is probably going to be in the band. What does that look like? Go ahead and fill that in. And then think about, okay, I don't know that my child is going to want to end up in AP calculus, but maybe they just want to end up in regular calculus. So put that in a 12th grade and then back map that down to what do they need to take in the 9th grade? What do they need to take in the 8th grade? So that you can look at that and get that balance between the academics, the extracurricular, and then the things of interest. Because as you will see tonight, we have a great array. As a matter of fact, our largest department is our career tech department. And we feel like that's one of our strongest areas because career tech is not your father's career tech. This is about applying the academics in real world environments so that they can find out, start thinking about what do they want to do. Do they want to go into health science areas? Do you want to go in the engineering areas? Do you want to be a teacher? Maybe you try something, you don't like it, and that's what you don't want to do. That's a big difference. I mean, how many of y'all started to college with no clue what did you want to do for a living? That happens a lot. So I was looking at, you'll be looking at the cost of that. And when you take courses that aren't going to count towards what you're really going to do, you're going to wind up spending a lot of money in college. And we know right now that student loan debt is higher than credit card debt in the United States. Parents are spending an exorbitant amount of money for college. So if our students can leave us knowing what it is they want to do, or at least can narrow it down into some fields, then they're going to be more specific when they get to college and be more successful. But I think the question then also becomes, do we need to change? What's wrong with what we're doing now? Well, there's nothing wrong with what we're doing now. And as you see, we are number 12. We're chosen as the number 12th high school in the state of Alabama in terms of best high schools in Alabama. We have a 96% graduation rate. We're a class banner school and all the things that Mr. Rogers talked about. We're doing very well. But when we look at our remediation rate, one of the things that we want to look at is when our students go to college, are they prepared for college? And I think as a parent, you're talking bucks, big bucks. So you got to think about, are they prepared for college when they go to college? And 55%, now this is from the academic year 12-13 because we don't have last year's data yet. But in the academic year 12-13, we had 55% of our graduates that enrolled in a college in Alabama. Now, this comes from the clearinghouse that comes from Alabama, so we don't have, like if they go to Mississippi State, we would not have that information. But 55% of our graduates enrolled in a college in Alabama. So that was about maybe 235 students. Of those, 38 had to take a remedial class, roughly 38 had to take a remedial class in math. 63 had to take at least one remedial class. So 27% of that 55% had to take at least one remedial class. And then 4% took a remedial English course. We're kicking it in English. We're doing very well there. But in our math and science, we're seeing that's a little bit weaker. Part of that's because we're not getting that rigor in those early years as much as maybe we need to be. So I was just doing a little kind of offhand figuring. 27% took at least one remedial course. That's about 63 students. It's about, depending on if you're going to a junior college or a four-year college, but let's say if it's Enterprise Community College or if it's Auburn, that's somewhere between $500 and $1,500 for a course. You're talking about $63,000 that parents paid because they weren't prepared for college. And sometimes that's because they haven't had the exposure to those more rigorous courses. Also, you'll see that the ACT score plays a huge part in whether you get scholarships, etc. Having a good ACT score is important, but it's also important to start that rigor early. So tonight, we're going to really talk about how do we add that rigor and how do we raise the bar. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wright. And I appreciate you taking time to be with us today and this evening. And she is absolutely correct. One thing about it, guys, we own our data. And we can come in and we can put up fancy slides with some of the great things we talk about. But what's more important is we look at our data, whether it be areas of strength, more importantly, the areas of deficiency or weakness, and we attack and we address those. And that's exactly what we're doing now. And as a team, as a system, we're addressing those needs and concerns. And with your support and your partnership, I think after tonight you will see kind of what we're trying to accomplish and where we're going, and we can do that together as one. Why are you here? You know, in a classroom, we always have what we refer to as a learning target or a list of objectives. But very simply, you know, we have just a few goals in mind as far as why you're here. Our first goal is to better understand the upcoming registration process. We're going to be going through that in just a few weeks, and I think it's important that you understand how that works. A question that comes up a lot that hopefully you'll understand why we give you this answer is, why can't you change my child's schedule? You know, we have that question come up quite a bit, and we're going to hopefully shed some light on the thought process that goes into that. To know what courses will best prepare your student for the future, we take the ACT now here, we give the ASVAB, the Aspire, the Plan, the PSET. We test quite a bit, but I think what's more important is what we do and how we utilize our data. And we're doing a much better job, and I think for you to help and support your child, you have to understand that data as well. And we're going to have packets set up. If you will stay with us, we'll stay outside as long as you like. But if we don't get to you tonight, if the lines are long, please make an appointment to come in and meet with anybody in guidance or the College and Career Center, and we'll sit down with you and look at your child's data on basically anything that they have done through the 7th grade on up, and it will give you an idea, a true picture of where they are and what type of classes they need to think about selecting prior to registration. To know how our GPA and college entrance exam scores affect you financially. Got a good discussion, and we'll be happy to answer any questions on how our GPA, how your students' GPA and college entrance exams like your ACT affect you in a financial way. To understand how all students benefit from career tech courses. We've got, again, one of the best career tech departments in the state. We've got excellent instructors, and out in the lobby we have Lurleen B. Wallace, we have ESCC, we have Wallace Community College out of Dothan. We have partnered with them through dual enrollment partnerships, so they're going to be available to talk to you about dual enrollment courses that are available to your son or daughter here at the high school. Last, to understand college credit, AP, and the dual enrollment courses. Again, I think there's something here for everyone. I know that it's a scary thought of having a child in the 7th grade and you're sitting here and they're talking about graduation, or they're talking about what it costs to go to Auburn, or what it costs to go to Alabama. And I know that may be a scary thought, so when we put up that slide and you see that dollar figure, please don't leave. Don't leave us. We have a plan. Hopefully you'll see that the plan is, through the rigorous courses they take, our job is to do our very best job to guide them, to instruct them, to prepare them, to challenge them, okay, throughout the process, and we're going to put them in hopefully the best position we can in order to get that scholarship that you guys badly need and covet. So that is our goal tonight, and if there's any point in time you'd like for us to stop and you have a question, feel free to raise your hand. We'll try to answer it. Somebody else may have that same question. I want to introduce our staff real quickly so we can save some time. Ms. Holly Lane is our 12th grade guidance counselor. She'll speak to you in just a minute. Ms. McClenny works with our college and career, our 11th grade counselor. Ms. Adonna Meeks works with our 10th graders. Ms. Sharon Borders works with our 9th graders. Ms. Dixie Lavender's here, works with data management. Mr. Ricky Britt, assistant principal. Mr. Danny Long, our career tech director here at the high school. And in the back, thank you for being here. Dr. Patrick Kane, our secondary instruction supervisor, is here. Thank you for being here tonight. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Adonna. Or is that Sharon?
Okay, good evening. I'm going to talk to you about your parents' role in planning. It's very important that you guys get really involved in this process. I know myself and Mrs. Borders and Ms. Kavanaugh at Dolphin has been in the classroom already this year discussing 4-year plans with your students. We're trying to map out a plan for them. Currently, we use the Alabama Career Planning System, also known as CUTR. Your student has a username and password that they can log on at home. They can show you this plan. They can show you their career interest inventory results. They also take a skills inventory and a values inventory. So I would encourage you guys to go home, discuss this with your child, have them pull it up on the computer, and look and have a good discussion over the next week or two, especially with registration coming up, and that way they can choose classes based on where their interests are and what they would like to do. Also, we do have a college and career center here at Enterprise High School. We constantly are encouraging our students to go by to get help. They can get help with resumes, college applications, things like that. But we'd also like to encourage parents, if you guys have any questions, to please feel free to make an appointment, and we can meet after hours as well in the evening. Mr. Rogers has been saying we really only have 4 choices for our students once they graduate from Enterprise High School, and I truly believe this as well. I've been trying to talk to our students this last week about the 4 choices they really have. Really, once they graduate from Enterprise High School, they can attend a 2-year college. That's one choice that they have. They can do it and get a technical degree, some kind of trade they can learn, or they could, go ahead and get their basics while they're here. It's a little bit cheaper under mom and dad's roof, and then eventually transfer to a 4-year school. Or once they graduate from Enterprise High School, they could go straight to a 4-year college or university. The other choice they have is they could join the military, and the last choice is go to work. But we want them to go to work with a real career that they would really enjoy for the rest of their lives, possibly. For example, we have as mentioned already, we have wonderful career technical programs here. Health science, these kids could leave here with a CNA, okay? They could leave with welding certification. They could leave with auto mechanic certification. All types of certifications in our career technical fields, they could leave here and go straight into the workforce. So these really are 4 options for our students. I would like to discuss graduation requirements. Just so you know, there are 4 credits of English are required for graduation, so they will take English every single year, 9, 10, 11, and 12. They need 4 credits of math to graduate. That includes Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2, or an Algebra 2 equivalent. They need 4 science credits to include biology, a physical science, which could be a traditional physical science class, or it could be chemistry or possibly even physics. And then they get to choose their other 2 science classes based on their interest. Social studies, they need 4 credits. That's pretty much laid out for them. Not a whole lot of choice there. World history, 9th grade, 10 U.S. history, 11 U.S. history, and then government and econ, their senior year. They need 1 full credit of career preparedness. Currently, students take career preparedness part A in 9th grade and career preparedness part B in 10th grade, so that will equal 1 full credit. They need 1/2 credit of health. Currently, students take that in 9th grade. Career tech, fine arts, and foreign language. Students need 3 credits in this area. It is highly recommended that students take 2 of these in sequential order. For example, if a student is interested in foreign language, they need to take Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. It has to be the same foreign language. Or they could take French 1, French 2. Or they could take 2 fine arts classes in sequential order, or 2 career tech classes in sequential order. Lots of combinations in this particular area, but they need 3 credits. They need 1 credit of physical education, and then that leaves 5.5 credits for electives. And if you add all of these credits up, it'll be 27 total for graduation. Okay, for valedictorian, salutatorian, and graduating with honors, starting with the class of 2017, we do have a new policy here at Enterprise High School. We will be honoring 1 valedictorian. That is the student with the highest overall GPA, and that GPA is weighted. The salutatorian is obviously the second student with the highest GPA. And then the honor seniors are the top 10% of the class. So, for example, if we have a class of 500 students, 50 students would be honored for that honor senior status. Okay, and For the advanced endorsement, all of those students on valedictorian, salutatorian, and honor senior have to be on this advanced academic endorsement diploma. The diploma is very similar to the standard high school diploma. There's just a couple of differences. These students must take advanced courses. They must take 3 pre-AP, AP, or dual enrollment courses between their 9th and 12th grade year. They must take 2 of the 3 CTE, foreign language, or fine arts in order. I said earlier it's highly recommended. They have to do it on the advanced academic endorsement. They must take those in sequential order. They must reach pre-calculus, and they also have to maintain a 3.5 weighted GPA. Yeah, this starts with the class of 2017. So current 10th graders, this is what this is for. Okay, we also have added a seal of distinction. Okay, so for the class of 2016, so that's this year's juniors. Okay, to get a seal of distinction, you need to complete 2 or more AP courses or 3 career technical courses in the same program and earn a CRI, Career Readiness Indicator certificate for that. Or 4 consecutive foreign language courses. So that would be like Spanish 1 through Spanish 4. Okay? For the class of 2017, so that's this year's 10th graders, they would need to complete 3 AP courses or a Career Readiness certificate or the 4 consecutive foreign languages. Okay? And then for the class of 2018 and after, it's 4 or more AP courses, and then the same thing, the Career Readiness certification and the 4 foreign languages. Any questions?
Good evening. I'm David West. I'm the principal of Coppinville Junior High School. Just to talk briefly about some of the current courses we have at Coppinville. Currently, we are a 7th grade junior high school. Next year, we'll be a 7th and 8th grade junior high school. As far as electives, we'll discuss that a little bit further once we decide how we're going to be situated with Dolphin. Currently, we offer 7th grade math and 7th grade advanced math. If your child plans on attending college, which I'm assuming your child's going to attend college, you want your child to take 7th grade advanced math. This math course covers all the 7th grade standards and some of the 8th grade standards and prepares them for Algebra 1 in 8th grade. As far as English, we offer regular English and advanced English. Once again, if your child's going to college, push your child into the honors track. I had a parent earlier say my child is strong in math, but not so much in English. My suggestion is put him in honors or advanced English and math. They can do it. As far as science, we offer regular science and advanced science. Social studies is a little bit different in 7th grade. We offer civics and world geography. Both of these courses are semester courses, and we also offer advanced civics and advanced geography. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Thomas, principal of Dolphin Junior High School.
Good evening, everyone. I want to echo what Mr. West said about advanced classes. We want to continue that in 8th grade. In math, we offer 8th grade math, and that just covers our standards in 8th grade. Algebra 1, and in Algebra 1, students are afforded an opportunity to receive a high school credit in that class. Advanced English and also regular English is offered as an English class. For science, we have advanced physical science and regular physical science. And with our history, world history is offered in 8th grade, the first part, and then, of course, they'll take the second part in 9th grade.
Okay, so when we look at graduation requirements, we've got a little map here of some suggested courses for 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And again, we want you to look at the end goal, and that should determine what your 9th graders should be taking. For example, if you want your child to get to that AP calculus, you know that in 8th grade they need that Algebra 1 in order to be able to get there. Now, certainly, their is an opportunity on a block schedule that your child can double up in math in a year. So if they did not do that, certainly we can double up as we go in a particular grade to get them there. So look at the end goal and where do you want them to be and work backwards from that. In the science, you see that some of those are highlighted in bold red. These are the courses that if your student is going to post-secondary education, they need to be enrolling in those science courses. Once they complete their biology and their physical science credit, these are the items they need to be registering for as they begin to enter that 11th and 12th grade year. So I hope that is helpful for you all, just to see a map of each subject. Oh. What courses will best prepare your student for the future? Certainly pre-AP, dual enrollment, AP courses, career tech courses. And what we really want you to do is match your students' interest with the courses that we offer here. All right, so keep these things in mind as you register or help your child register for next year. The GPA is always not the most important factor that we're looking at. Our goal is for your child to be prepared when they walk out the doors of this high school for the next level. I know that sometimes as parents we get caught up in, oh, I want my child to have all A's, and that is a terrific goal. I have 3 children. I know I've got one like that, 2 not like that. But what I do want, I want my children to be successful, and I want them to be prepared when they leave high school. And that's what we want for your child. So I want us to try to shift our thinking off of, I've got to have that magic 4.0, and onto what is going to best prepare my child when they walk out that door. So I want us to kind of get our arms around that and get our head around that. And Ms. McClinney is going to talk in a little bit about that magic 3.5 GPA, and that and a combination of some test scores that's really going to be what's most important. So when we look at the grading scales and we're going to look at the valedictorian and the salutatorian and those honor seniors, there is encouragement for your child to take those AP courses if that is his or her personal goal. Students who take an AP or dual enrollment class are going to get an additional 1 point. So if they earn an A instead of 4, they're going to get 5 points. Anything that's a pre-AP or honors class are going to get an additional half of a point. So that will help differentiate those students who have that goal of being in that group to get to that goal. So what are advanced placement courses? And we get this question a lot, and what is the difference between AP and pre-AP? So advanced placement courses are courses that have standardized curriculum throughout the nation. These courses provide college-level rigor for your child. There is a standard test at the end that we require students to take, and if they make a qualifying score, they can earn college credit through those scores. Each university is a little bit different in what they will accept as a qualifying score. Some universities, for example, Alabama, if you score 5 on the AP English test, they will give you an English 101 and 102. Auburn doesn't do that, but Alabama is very generous in that, so that's great. But it compares your child globally against others. Some of the AP courses, for example, AP Biology and AP Chemistry, are a commitment for 2 semesters. There's a lot of content, a lot of hands-on, a lot of lab work. So understand that if they go into those courses, it will be a 2-semester commitment. And those are denoted in the curriculum guide that your student will get as they come home. And also remember that in those courses, they do receive an extra weight on their GPA. One special note, once they sign up for AP, when it gets tough, and it's going to get tough for them for a little bit, they're not going to be able to come back out. They're going to be successful. We're going to help them. We're going to support them. We're going to give them some teacher support. They're going to be okay, and I want y'all to hear that. If they're willing to work, it may be a struggle for a little bit, but they can do this, and that's what we want you guys to get your arms around. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. It's going to be rigorous. But when they walk out that door, They're going to know how to think. They're going to know how to study. They're going to know how to take information they know and apply it to a situation, and that's what's important. So the benefits of AP. It lets colleges know that you're serious about school and your education. Potentially you can earn college credit and save money. I was going to say students, you can save your parents money, but certainly save money. And you can learn what a college class is like. You can understand what the rigor is, what the assignments are going to be like, while you still have the support of our teachers who care about you and your parents who can help you as well. So this is some data from some tests from our 11th graders. And when we look at AP English and we look at their plan scores, there were 204 students who met benchmark in the English on the plan. Out of that, only 83 took AP English. So that left us a deficit of 121 students that should have been taking AP courses, or AP English specifically, but were not. So we did have 53 juniors who are enrolled in American Studies, which is an honors class. It's more project-based. It's not AP, but it is more project-based, and it is an honors class. So I think you can see here that we do have a little bit of a disconnect, and this is what we're really trying to get you guys to understand, that your child can do this, and we want them to do it, and they benefit. So if we go to the next slide, we look at 10th grade, pre-AP English, and we see that we've closed a little bit of the gap. With these particular students, we see 349 met the benchmark, 257 are taking pre-AP English, so now we only have 92 students that didn't enroll in the pre-AP English. So we're getting that gap a little bit smaller, and what we want to do is get that gap to where it's 0. Okay? So when we look at AP Science, same data. We had 177 students who met benchmark. 44 took an AP Science class. 133 did not. When we go to 10th grade and we look there, we see that we've closed that gap a little bit more. 340 students met benchmark. 184 are taking. 196 should have taken. But our percentage is getting better. And then we look at math. This is our 12th graders for this year. And we see that out of 522 seniors, we have 31% or 163 that are taking some form of an advanced math, be it dual enrollment calculus, AP calculus, or a pre-cal class. And there's no doubt in my mind that we've got more seniors on this campus that should be in those courses. And so really that's our focus tonight, is to try to get you guys to help encourage your child, look at the data, look at the test scores, and let's put them in the classes that are appropriate for them.
Thank you, Ms. Lane. I just want to interject one thing. She's done a marvelous job. I hope this has been informative and kind of an eye-opener, but if you look at go back to that first slide and look at the remediation rates, the two areas that we talked about, that was math and that was science, and you see a direct correlation between what you see behind me now and the math and science numbers, and that's something that we can do something about. We need your encouragement. We need your understanding, and we need your support to not to push anybody towards something that they don't believe they can do, but the data indicates that they can do it. We don't want to make assumptions based off of what we think. We want to make good course selections based off of what we know that they can do and what they've shown that they can do. So hopefully you see kind of the correlation there, and thank you, Ms. Lane, for doing a good job of illustrating that. Okay. Mr. Long's going to talk a little bit about Career Tech. Is everybody good? Anybody need a stretch break? I know this is, everybody good? Feel free to ask any questions now as we go along.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Just a little bit more on our career technical department. With all of this size and resources, and you know, your children are going to come to one of the largest high schools in the state of Alabama, comes lots of opportunities. And Mrs. Meeks talked about the interest inventories and developing the 4-year plan. When you guys start looking through your registration guide and talking about those interest inventories and the results of those, you will see 16 different work-related clusters in that interest inventory. Enterprise High School has classes that are embedded in all 16 of those clusters. We're awfully proud of that, and we have developed several new programs over the last several years, including a teaching and education program, audiovisual technology program, engineering program, health science program. So we want our students to take advantage of those classes. What are some of the benefits of Career Tech, and who should take Career Technical classes? Everyone. Every student that walks the halls of Enterprise High School should take Career Tech classes. As we have conversations with our regional and local economic developers and different state agencies, when we have those conversations, they tell us the one thing that's missing from current and future employers is their ability to critically think, solve problems, work as a team, be creative, innovative, and display professionalism. Well, that's what our Career Tech classes do. Those are the skills. They're project-based. They're going to teach you how to apply that knowledge to certain tasks. In addition to being project-based, there's also a tremendous amount of leadership opportunities. All of our courses have an association with a Career Tech student organization, FFA, FBLA, TSA for engineering, HOSA with health science, ROTC, and all of these organizations, they compete on a state level. We have students that compete on a national level every year, and these are just great opportunities for your students to continue to develop their resumes as they get ready to apply for college and apply for scholarships their senior year. We also have several dual enrollment opportunities here. We have a partnership with Enterprise Junior College, and they'll be out front in a little while. We have an airframe and power plant program, and our students have an opportunity to earn at least 4 dual enrollment credits before they graduate with us. We have students that participate with LBW during the summer in welding. Also at Enterprise Junior College, we have computer logic and programming, commercial software, 3-dimensional modeling, and instructional networking. All of those courses are free to our students. There's a workforce development grant that is applied for every year, and all of our Career Tech dual enrollment courses are at no cost. All right, I kind of look at this as a pyramid, and if you look at the corners of the pyramid, that's kind of where our 9th and 10th graders are. And what we want is we want to start pressing ahead with rigorous academic coursework. And on the right side, we want courses selected based on their interest. And it goes back to those interest inventories. If our students are taking rigorous courses and taking courses that they're interested in, we'll kind of merge in the middle, and they'll be selecting rigorous courses and help solidifying some decisions as they move forward. We want the next 4 years to be that time of exploration, whether it's to solidify some interests or eliminate some interests. These 4 years should be that time of exploration, because you'll see on the next slide what some of those costs are going to be once they leave Enterprise High School. And ultimately at the top, we want our students to be a prepared graduate with a viable post-secondary plan.
Good evening. My name's Cammie McClenny. I'm the 11th grade counselor, as well as working with college and career here at the high school. And I've been nominated to give you guys the scary part of this presentation. We're going to talk about college costs for just a minute, but then hopefully going to give you a little sigh of relief as we look at maybe some ways to go about getting some help with funding those college costs. For those of you who haven't looked at it in a while, this is the current rate for a course of study at the University of Alabama. All of our state universities are pretty comparable. Alabama and Auburn are going to be very much the same. Troy will be a little bit less. But you can see here that right now a semester of work, including room and board and everything, at the University of Alabama is costing just under $11,000. You got 2 semesters in an academic year. We don't count summer generally. So the 2 semesters and then 4 years of that is taking that grand total to right over $86,000 right now for a 4-year degree. I have friends who have students in college, and they tell me that that's probably a low estimate by the time you pay for a vehicle and everything else that they're going to need during that time. So I say that to say we're going to work toward helping get some scholarships to go with that. I want to mention Enterprise State Community College is a great partner of ours, and a lot of our students will go out there and do the transfer option where they will take classes out there for the first couple of years and then transfer to a 4-year school. Currently at Enterprise State Community College, just so you can compare, their credit hour cost is $142 a credit hour. So for 12 hours of work, that's just over $1,700. So if you add a $500 for books, which is a pretty low estimate on books, but if you add that, the Enterprise State Community College is about $2,200 a semester. 2 semesters in a year, so $4,400. The current Pell Grant, if you're in a position or you know students who are in a position that by completing the financial aid application they could get a Pell Grant, the current Pell Grant rate is $5,730 a year. So it's very attainable to go to the junior college on a Pell Grant for students who fall in that sector. Of course, a Pell Grant's not going to pay your way to Alabama or Auburn or even Troy. You would need other ways to help with that, but it will do that. So just wanted to kind of point that out to you. So now that we kind of looked at the scary part, I wanted to point out, okay, kind of how ACT scores. We talked a lot about getting ready for college, and I'm going to talk with you some more in these slides about the ACT, but how this kind of all works together. And when we're looking at, and I'm using Alabama again as an example, but any college is going to have a matrix kind of like this where it's going to start at an ACT score with a qualifying GPA, and that's going to give you a certain award. And for these scholarships, you don't have to do anything but meet these criteria and apply by that college's deadline. Alabama's deadline is December the 15th. Auburn has pushed theirs into February. And Troy's is in March. It used to always be December 1st across the board. But the colleges have gotten a little more flexible with us in moving those dates a little bit later in the senior year so students have an opportunity to retake that ACT maybe a time or two extra in the in the senior year. But you see that a 27 on the ACT and a 3.5 GPA, and that is going to be that weighted GPA where we've given you extra credit for taking the pre-AP, the honors, or the AP courses. We'll give you $3,500 per year, which is $14,000 over 4 years. I often say that when we tell an 18-year-old we're going to give them $14,000, they think they're rich, and they're going to be rich forever, because that is a lot of money. And it is, but now when you compare that to the $80,000 cost, we're really not putting a big dent in what we've got to pay yet. A 28 on the ACT and a 3.5, so one more point on that test raises that amount by $2,000. A 29 on the ACT and a 3.5 GPA. Notice my GPA is staying very consistent here, takes it to 18.9. But a 30 at Alabama and a 31 at Auburn is kind of our magic number that gets us full tuition. Notice my GPA is still the same, a 3.5, weighted GPA or higher will get me full tuition, and at Alabama, currently that's worth about $37,000. So that, my friends, is how it can pay off to take rigorous coursework all the way from the 7th grade all the way up, so you get your ACT score up in those ranges where we really start seeing some benefit. A 27 on the ACT at Troy and a 3.5 GPA will get you full tuition. That's a great scholarship to go to Troy. And then a 31 at Troy will get you full tuition room and board. And you see there what that's worth. Troy is the only school in our state that I'm aware of that will super score or stack ACT scores, which means if you take the ACT 3 or 4 times, they will take the highest English, the highest math, the highest science, so on and so forth, re-average those for a new composite, and if that composite is 27 or 31, they will award those scholarships that are attached to that. Notice for the 31, the GPA does go up a bit. We're at a 3.7 right there, but you shouldn't have any problem doing that. This year's senior class currently, and these seniors, as well as the current juniors, are still under the old valedictorian policy where you got a 4.0 gets you a rank of 1, and we have multiple valedictorians. But even with that in place, my highest GPA in the senior class right now is a 4.41. So it's not hard to do, guys. I mean, you can get that GPA up if you're taking those challenging classes. Troy also has a leadership award that I just added, so you'd be aware of that. Any college that you might be interested in, you can go to their website, usually financial aid, and you will find some type of matrix like this where you can see what scholarships, what's the ACT or the comparable SAT. They all have a comparable SAT range as well, and then the GPA. So just a little bit more about the ACT while we're on that subject. I'm not going to read these to you. You can take a look at them, but you notice that there's information there The ACT and SAT are very much alike. They're two tests that are published by two different companies, but they do the same thing. I've often said they're kind of like Coke and Pepsi. They just taste different. ACT is more popular in Alabama because our state has adopted that test, and so we give it to all 11th graders as a state assessment. So because of that, we have more prep that's available. Supply and demand kind of kicks in. So you're going to hear more about the ACT, but the SAT is also a very viable option. I wanted to add, it's not on the slide, but I have questions often about when should my student take the ACT for the first time? My recommendation that if they're in the 10th grade, if they're a sophomore, and they have taken Algebra 2. So we've got some sophomores right now that took Algebra 2 in the fall, and they finished that course, Algebra 2 with Trig, then they could actually go ahead and start taking the ACT at this point. If they're in a sophomore and they're in Algebra 2 with Trig this semester, then I'm going to say probably the June administration. If they don't take Algebra 2 in the sophomore year, maybe wait till the junior year, then I would wait till the junior year to test. Of course, we're going to give it to all juniors in April of every year, but I would recommend that the students take the ACT at least one other, if not two other times during the junior year besides the time that we give it here at school. Students who are on free and reduced lunch can get a waiver to take the test up to twice without having to pay. So with those two, and then the one we give at school, you can take the test, free reduced lunch students can take the test 3 times without having any financial obligation to do that. And I recommend they take advantage of all of those times. It's really quite comfortable if a student can have their ACT score solidified by the end of the junior year. Now, most seniors will retest in September, October, and possibly December of the senior year, just to maybe see if they can get another point or whatever, but you need to be pretty close to where you have taken it several times before you ever get to the senior year. I'm sorry? Oh, what if you scored lower? Good question. The college is going to take your highest score. They're always going to take your highest composite. They understand that students have bad days, and sometimes we test better than others. So it doesn't matter. They'll take that highest score. Okay. When I mentioned super scoring a minute ago, if that confused anyone, that's where if I've taken it 3 times and they take the highest, like Troy would take the highest English, math, science, and re-average it, whereas most colleges, if I've got 3 testing times on my transcript, they're going to scroll through that composite and pick the highest one, and that's what they're going to enter in the computer system for me. So scoring on the ACT, scores range from 1 to 36. The composite scores, the average of the 4 test scores rounded to the nearest whole number. I've listed here the readiness benchmarks. Readiness benchmarks tell us if a student has a 50% chance of obtaining a B or higher, or about a 75% chance of obtaining a C or higher in a corresponding credit-bearing first-year college course. So by the time a student graduates, if they have an 18 on the English portion of the ACT, they've got about a 50-50 chance of making a B or a 75% chance of making a C in a college-level course. So we also equate benchmarks to them being ready for pre-AP and AP courses here at the high school. So if we look at your child's scores, whether it be their Explorer scores from 8th grade, their Plan scores from 10th grade, or their ACT scores from 11th grade, if they're meeting benchmark, we're going to recommend that they be in an upper-level course. Even if they're a couple of points below benchmark, we'll recommend that to try to get that skill level up so we can push them to get a little better in that area. What is a good score on the ACT for college admissions? You're looking anywhere from an 18 to a 24. Notice there's no benchmarks below an 18. The lowest benchmark is 18 on the English. You want to be probably be comfortable about a 20 to get into Auburn. Auburn tends to be more and more selective. You really need about a 23, 24 right now to be comfortable applying that you're going to get in. Of course, they will also want that want that GPA, but as long as we're 3.5 or better, we should be good there. And college scholarships generally start at about a 27. There are some that are a little bit lower, but they're lesser amounts. And as you looked at earlier, I'm really interested in us getting those big chunks where we're really hacking away at that amount of money that we have to pay. Okay, so I mentioned the ACT already. I just wanted to kind of make an announcement that we will be having the ACT here for our current juniors on April 28th. So it's important that our juniors be getting ready for that. This test is a big deal, as you've already seen. So we want to make sure that they're preparing. And there's some ways to prepare. The first and most important way, and especially for those of you in the younger grades, is the best way to prepare for the ACT is by taking challenging courses in high school. You can get, I will generally say you will raise your ACT score. You can raise it 2 to maybe 5 points by taking an ACT prep class, but you've got to get in the ballpark with your academics. And so that's the way that we need to be planning and the way that we need to be going. There are always free practice tests in the guidance office or the College and Career Center. There is a litany of websites and online stuff that you can do, and I've listed a few there that are free or very low cost. At a minimum, you should visit the ACT website and explore the sample questions and test-taking tips that are there. There are several ACT apps for iPhone and Android that can help students prepare. And also, we will have a free ACT prep here on April the 12th. That's a Sunday. It'll be an afternoon session from 1 to 7. Mr. Rogers and Dr. Wright have graciously agreed to pay for that for our students. It's about a $60 course per student, and we will be signing up for that as we move closer to that April testing frame. Again, we want those students to prepare, especially our juniors, to prepare to take that test on the 28th. You should never, ever, ever walk into an ACT or SAT test and have not looked at a practice test or done some work. You should not go in there cold. There's way too much information out there. Any questions about any of that while we're right here? I don't have any personal data, but it's out there. There's tons of it. We've seen other schools in Alabama. There's data on how they have raised their enrollment in their AP and pre-AP and how that directly correlated to those higher ACT scores. So it's there. I can't quote any to you tonight, but it certainly is validated. Okay, so I'm going to switch gears just a little bit and talk about registration because we mentioned that as one of our points that we wanted to give you some information about registration. Our students will be getting registration materials within the month for our current 9th through 11th grade students. 9th through 11th grade students will more than likely, and these dates are still a bit tentative, we're waiting on some stuff to come back from the press, but we'll more than likely get their registration packets on February 18th, and we will start meeting with students on the 23rd. Now, here at the high school for our currently enrolled 9th through 11th graders, the way we do that is in first block. That depending on who they have first block, we have a schedule. They will come up to the multi-purpose room where the counselors will be, and they will come to us one at a time. We will review what they've written on their sheets. We'll make any adjustments or changes or discuss with them. If there's something we think they need to take back home to discuss with you as parents again, we will send it back home and ask them to bring it back the next day. For the 8th graders that are currently over at Dolphin, we tentatively will be visiting with them on March the 9th to give them their paperwork. And then we'll be back over there on the 17th and 18th to go over that with them and collect that paperwork. This year, with all of our students during registration, we will be looking at test scores and looking to see if the student's ready for that pre-AP or AP class and trying to do more of encouraging them if they haven't already made that decision. Also, Mrs. Lane has on her calendar, and she will be at Dolphin March 9th through the 13th at 1 in the afternoon, kind of brown bag lunch type of meetings to answer questions and address different topics. So watch for that to be coming out on the website and on your phone messages and things. Thank you.
Dr. King.
Thank you. There's just some additional information that I wanted to provide regarding some of the Career Tech offerings, but also dual enrollment offerings through Enterprise High School. One of the really exciting things that we're able to do this upcoming year is our partnership with LBW. A lot of your students or children might have the idea that they want to be part of the automotive process, do dual enrollment courses, but for whatever reason, you don't want them traveling all that long distance, funding is an issue, and that sort of thing. One of the great things that we're able to do starting actually this summer is those dual enrollment courses through LBW in the automotive program will actually be offered here at Enterprise High School. That will also continue in the fall as well as the spring, where your students could actually take dual enrollment courses with Steve Eisnagel here at Enterprise High School and receive dual enrollment credit during normal school hours. That is very exciting for us. That's really unheard of if you think about it across the state. A lot of places have what I call satellite campuses where they come in the evenings, but there's still the issue with the transportation and the funding. But we're able to actually offer your students that opportunity here during the normal school hours. We're currently in the process of having the exact same conversations and offering other programs with Enterprise State Community College as well as Wallace Dothan. As soon as those get finalized and we know specifics on what we can offer here at Enterprise High School, we'll also send that information out as well. Looking at the cost to send your child to Alabama or Auburn or Detroit, it's pretty daunting if you think about it. One thing I also want to make sure that you're aware, Danny did a great job talking about the career tech and the grants that your child can receive, but I want to also make sure you understand that if your child is enrolled in a career tech course that requires like an English or a math or a science per se to get that degree, they can take those starting their 10th grade year through Enterprise High School as a student, and those are paid for. So if we take advantage of the grants, enroll in programs that also incorporate the math, the science, as well as the Englishes, through dual enrollment, through Enterprise High School, a lot of those funding requirements would be cut substantially, which obviously means a lot less in your pocketbooks. So there's a lot of exciting things going on here at Enterprise High School through dual enrollment, pre-AP, as well as career tech. So as more things come to fruition and we know exactly what we can offer in those areas, we'll make sure we send those out to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. Going to close tonight. Just a slide that I want to point to you. And this is something that I have to remind myself every day, some days, when I get up and things may not be going my way. But, you know, we want to really think about, you know, when we take, and again, we say harder courses, it doesn't necessarily have to be harder courses. You know, is it an opportunity or do we consider it an obligation? And I think you've heard from all of us tonight how committed we are to helping your child be successful. But your efforts in high school will directly affect life after high school. And I think hopefully you've seen that importance in what we're trying to accomplish. And I sent an email to our guys here, and I want to thank them for hopefully providing you with some good information. But I sent an email or text, and I put fired up. We are fired up about what we're doing here, and we love working with your kids. Hopefully you share that same enthusiasm. This is not a daunting task. We're in it together. It's a partnership. And just know that, that we're heading in that direction that you want to go in, and that's hopefully providing a first-class education for your son or daughter. What are high expectations? Just kind of summing up tonight, we talked about taking rigorous courses, courses that are going to challenge your child. If it doesn't challenge them, they don't grow, plain and simple. The idea of having an easy year or easy senior year, please help me with that. We get this sometimes, well, they've worked hard, we want them to have that easy senior year. Of all the years, the senior year does not need to be easy. It needs to be the most challenging, most fulfilling year. So parents, please help us and support that. We want them to be challenged while they're at home under your roof and taking these courses so we can provide that assistance and support. And we'll see a more prepared graduate, and we'll see those ACT scores go up. And we'll see those scholarship dollars go up. Last year we set a record, and that was $12 million in scholarships offered. This year we have a lofty goal of $15 million in scholarships being offered to our students. I think that goal needs to be in the 20s. Ms. McClenny may kill me, but we're a school that if we really and truly believe we're an elite school in the state of Alabama, and I believe that with my whole heart and soul, then that is where we need to be. That would be a good indicator, and I think we can get there if we address some of the areas of concern that we have and work together towards that. We talked about the 4-year plan. Please take time to go over that with your child. Know what their interests are. You know what they are, but sometimes they may fool you. It may be something completely different. The days of getting to college, like we talked about earlier, and trying to find out what we want to do, those days are long and gone. We want them to scratch it a little bit here. We want them to know what they like, what they're good at, maybe what they're not so good at before they get to college and they spend valuable time and money in certain areas that they may not even be interested in. With all that being said, I want to thank you for attending tonight. This is how we're going to do now. A couple things. This is being videotaped, so we'll put this on the website. We'll also put a copy of it, that way you can pull up if you didn't get a chance to screenshot anything. All this will be available on the system website and the high school website. So if you know of someone that didn't attend, tell them to check the website. The video of this will be there. We're going to, our people, guys, if y'all want to make your way first to the tables, we will have tables